Hi, I'm Missy Casellas-Hamby. I am the president of the UVA Club of Greater Orlando and a big UVA cheerleader constantly. Scott French is our VP and head of lots of things, making things moving forward. And we just love having everyone from Florida. So one of the things I really love about UVA Club of Orlando is that in Florida is that we're doing things all together. One of our treasures is Christine French, Madrid French, who just is so creative and resourceful, and she is truly the Zoom master. So take it away.
Okay, I'll just do a quick introduction. I'm an architectural historian, actually, who ended up diverging in all kinds of areas. About a year ago, I got a job at the California Preservation Foundation, and that was February 3rd, 2020. And who knew what was coming? So by March, everything had changed. The interesting thing about California Preservation Foundation is that they'd already worked on doing a lot of webinars on Zoom. So we were Zooming every day in February, and we'd have webinars. They already have a backlog or an archive of about 200 webinars, educational webinars. So they had the back end worked out in terms of a database structure and a pay structure. And so I learned from my colleague, his name is John Haber, and who knew that being on Zoom would be a skill that we would need, but all of a sudden it ended up being something that was critically important. As Scott can attest, I always like to look my best. And so when we started to do a lot of Zoom sessions, I'll show you, I posted in that PDF, I've done now probably 40 webinars, 2 live conferences, a live award show, and a bunch of other interviews and recordings. And my recordings and live interviews have reached about 20,000 people on Zoom and Facebook and YouTube. So it ends up being really important how you look on Zoom, because like you said, Sammy, suddenly, or like you said, Vicky too, suddenly this is the only experience that you have with me. Like I can't be there in person and use, whatever skills I've learned in my interpersonal connections to connect with you. So it has to all be through the camera. And probably a lot of you remember people say, I don't like how I sound on recordings, right? I don't know. I don't like how I look in the video. So they don't want to step forward in that. But I think it's easy actually to make yourself be one of the most interesting people in your Zoom room, right? And it's really important because I know my friends have been doing their job interviews. I Zoomed for my job, and before Zoom was popular. So it's very important. Everything has to come through this little camera. So how do you stay ahead of the curve on this? So I'm going to share first. We could use a fun exercise just to get everybody kind of loosened up. First, everybody knows how to use basics like chat window. Does everyone know how to use the chat window? Pretty much. In the chat window, I posted up earlier, and then Joshua reposted it, the PDF of the PowerPoint that I'm going to present right now, because there's a lot of information in it, and we're going to kind of zip through it so that we can have a little more personal time. And this way you don't have to worry. You can just download it. If you click in the chat window, you could download that PDF now. It's slightly different than the one that we sent out before. It has more information for you. So just as an exercise, I'm sure everybody knows how to turn their cameras on and off, right? And their audio on and off, because we've already done that. So if you go down, the thing I like to do just for fun is if you see your Zoom menu at the bottom, and it says mute and then stop video. And then right to the right of the little camera where it says stop video, I'm on a PC, so it might not be the exact same if you're on a Mac. I like to do a little fun with video filters, just to get us warmed up. So if you click on that, a little box should come up with your face on it. Right, I can't.
Chat or what?
It's under video. So you see, if you're on your screen, towards the bottom left, you'll see mute, stop video, and the little thing where you got your background.
Okay, I
Sammy.
see it. Mhm.
Okay, so put up your thing and you'll see virtual backgrounds.
Yes.
I somehow just find this the most entertaining thing. I love to do my little virtual backgrounds. I was just teasing that I have a background that is the exact replication of where I'm at. So I could be here during the day and I just think this is so much fun. You can be any place you want. There's moving backgrounds. You could actually download your own video and of course your own images. Yeah, what do you got there, Joshua? Nice. So the thing about backgrounds is that if you move a lot, like I tend to move a lot when I talk, there is a little bit, like if you lift your hands, you can see there's a little problem. So if you use a background, it's better to sort of be right in the middle and sort of not move around too much. Ah, Sammy went to outer space. I had some fun ones. I like to put myself in the movies, you know, maybe it's snowing. So then right next to virtual backgrounds is something called video filters. So if we all head over there, first I'm going to take off my background. Video filters are so much fun, especially if you're doing a happy hour. Look, French is ahead of the game over there. There's so many fun things that you can put on around your frame.
So Christine, mine says download filters package. Should I
Exactly.
download
So
it?
that, yes, that I'm not positive that you'd be able to use everything during this meeting. So it's important to always update your Zoom app because they're nice, Sammy, because they're always coming up with new things. And I'll show you a way that you can tell if you're updated or not. Joshua's like a professional over there. My
All right, so
particular
mine
favorite.
says- I have a question. Mine says video filters none.
I wonder why. Are you on? Oh, so it says none, but if you go to the right, you should have some options. If you're on a Mac, it's slightly. Are you on a Mac,
Yeah.
Missy? It's a little bit different. So maybe Scott, he's on a Mac. Scott, where are your filters at?
You're muted, kiddo.
They're right next to virtual backgrounds. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, but sometimes on a Mac, it's different. There's an extra click, I think. She's only
Um,
seeing none
when I
instead
open-
of
when I
the
open
different
stuff-
ones.
If you open up the choose virtual background, choose video filter. So I go to video filter and some of them work and some don't.
This is one of my favorites. It's just a
Mine
fun
says-
way. Like if you're seeing your friend and you want to be, I'm in
I'm going to use
front.
this one for teaching. I'm going to imagine myself in front of this.
Yeah, exactly,
of
Vicky, number
students.
one.
That is so cool. I love that one. I'm going to keep that.
Well, the funny thing is they keep adding filters. So you go in and you'll be like, I don't know, these look silly. And then you're like, oh, wait, this one is really the one I've been looking for. So those are just a fun way to like play around with your friends. But the interesting thing that Zoom is working on is if you watch the tracking, right? The tracking is amazing on these things. Like that, it really follows what you're doing. So they've been working on this technology and it just keeps getting more advanced. So that's always a fun thing. I'm not sure if everyone has this, but if you're on a PC and you're updated, you're in the virtual backgrounds and video filters. At the very bottom to the right, there's a, that's cute, Vicky. There's a
It's not working.
click. Whose is not working? Yours is not working. There's
Some
one
work
called,
and some don't. I don't know why.
oh, you might have to update. I can help you later. So there's one called Studio Effects, which is brand new. And it's a beta for Zoom and not everybody has it. And it's not always the most appealing, but you can put eyebrows. So like they don't have to be green, they could be brown, right? And you can pick different eyebrows if you want, but see how it tracks? So even while I move my head, I'm wearing fake eyebrows right now. You could do a silly thing like you could wear a mustache if it's Talk Like a Pirate Day, and you could also put on lipstick. So I'll put on yellow. You can't see it because I already have so much lipstick, but see, and it follows you. It's very good tracking. So those are some new things. Let me turn those off, actually. Those are beta effects. So every time you go into Zoom, it's always a good idea to kind of, there you go, Sammy.
Yes.
It's always a good idea to kind of check what you're doing. So I'm going to just share my PowerPoint real quick and just show you some kind of cool things along those lines. And this is not a formal presentation by any means. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, just go ahead and ask them while we're doing that. And usually I encourage everyone to use the chat window, but it's hard for me to read the chat window. So while I'm doing
Chris,
this.
thank you for doing all this.
Oh, sure. Okay, so everyone can see my screen. That's always a good thing to do when you're connecting. Everyone can see my house here at Pineycroft? Yeah? Okay. All right, I'm gonna assume you see my PowerPoint. So why is it important to look good on Zoom? Everyone can see this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you. Because I knew Missy would like this part, career experts say that it takes just 3 seconds for someone to determine whether they like you and want to do business with you. So what I'm finding is that I do a lot of fundraising. It's very important that boom, I'm right in there and it like I'm ready to, the look. It's important because we're isolated so much. So I'm sure you're all familiar with these looks. Here's me with my curlers on before I actually get ready for Zoom. But everyone's familiar with these kind of looks, right? You've been in the meetings and everyone is so dark that you can't see the face, which I think is what you were talking about, Sammy, or we're talking about, like, you have to connect with people on this, or Vicky, I think you were saying this. You have to connect with people through the camera, and not everyone's used to doing that. Like I said, we can, this is all inside the PDF. So to look at the details later, I use a special camera and I'm going to, I'll show you after I'm done with this. I can actually turn on the camera on my laptop and you'll see the difference between my HD camera and my laptop camera. A lot of laptop cameras say that they're HD, but they come in fisheye, which means they're going to be distorting your image. And it's hard to get the thing in the right position. The thing with this kind of camera, you put it at the top of your screen and it's easier to get an eye level look. So is everyone, who's using a laptop right now? Everybody? Joshua? It's much better when you're using your other camera. Both of my cameras work, but I prefer this one. We'll go kind of quick through these and then we can kind of talk through some of the questions. So the ring light, as you know, everybody has ring light. Here's actually my lighting setup. So I have a light on the side, two lights, a ring light, and an umbrella light that I use to make sure that I have all the lighting that I need on my webinars. The ring light is not very expensive. This is one I just picked out random, this UV size. It's about $45. The thing that's important is that the ring light can actually put a lot of strain on your eyes if you're on Zoom a lot. And so you only want to use it when you really want to fill in. And I'll show you how to control your lighting using the Zoom controls so that you don't always have to have your ring light on. The other thing that I found is, you see my ring light in this picture has a pillowcase on it, a white pillowcase. Because it's an LED, it doesn't get very hot. And the white pillowcase helps diffuse the light. And this is especially important if, for people of color, it's better to have a lot of diffused light to illuminate the general space instead of a direct light on your face. All right, so designer Tom Ford came out with a whole article on how you could look better on Zoom, and he knows what he's doing. And mostly it's about having that camera and the light right in front of your face. So you're basically producing yourself as if you were a newscaster. And this is actually really required in the everyday, like we talked about. So when I'm doing a webinar, I'll log in early, like Joshua knows. I said I got to log in early so we could check everything. I'll ask people, I'll say, can you put some books under your laptop to bring that up? Another hint is, if you're actually the host and you're recording a lot of people in a Zoom webinar format, or a meeting format is try to get everybody's heads about the same size within the view window. It makes for a better looking recorded video in the end. So I'm using a special microphone. I don't know if you could see it. It's right
Can I tell
here.
you, the one thing I did was I got, this was the Christmas present for all my kids.
Oh, you got microphones?
Yeah, a Blue Yeti.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't have one, but they do.
The Blue Yeti is just really easy to use. It's simple. It's like plug and play. It's what I pay, $129. The most important thing, like my headphones have a microphone that I just use for my everyday, but when I'm doing the webinar, I want my sound, especially recorded, like for Joshua, I want my sound to be superior and also the lighting to be superior. But so do you see the diagram of the man? So you want your microphone to be about a hand's width away and a tiny bit to the side of your breathing direction. So that way you're not breathing right into the microphone. You know, you're over here a little bit and you're catching that sound. All of this I found all online, so it's pretty easy to do your own research. All right, so the settings, like I said, I would just recommend downloading that PDF that I created. All of these settings are things that I've just discovered along the way, just poking through the program. So at the bottom, you'll see I made a little diagram. So it's very important to realize there's two ways to access your Zoom account. It took me an absurdly long time to figure this out. So one is that little blue camera in the bottom of your screen. That's one. You click on that, you'll get kind of the little window that shows our video settings. You'll see something like this with general on it. The other one is on your browser where you type in zoom.us and it says sign into my account, which we'll also look at. They're completely separate apparently, but then work together. A whole different, I mean, there's got to be at least 100 different options between these two things that you have to coordinate to get your best Zoom recording. Excuse me. So in this section, you'd have general. These are just the ones that I like to use. Remind me 10 minutes. Stop my video and audio when my display is off, so you don't end up with those embarrassing moments when you accidentally have your Zoom on. As you know, we've seen these in the news. So you definitely don't want to do that. We're just going to go through these kind of quickly. We talked about backgrounds and filters. These are the ones, the Golden Gate Bridge, the grass and the sky are the ones provided to you. Basically, any image that you want to upload, you can upload and put as your background. You could take a picture with your cell phone. Under virtual backgrounds where it says plus, you can go to that plus sign and you can upload any photo you want, basically. So if you want, anything you want, you don't even need a green screen. So the technology is so great, you don't technically need a green screen to do this kind of green screen technology. So the audio is pretty important, I think, especially when you're doing recordings. So these are the settings that I use. I use the Yeti microphone. The volume is usually automatically adjusted. What's really important, let me see if I can annotate here. By the way, a dog just started barking here. So this was, so where it says suppress background noise, this is important because of, we're all at home and sometimes there's a lot of things going on in the background. You can't have silence. I prefer to pick my own setting, which is high, especially because I'm using this Yeti microphone. It's very sensitive. So I was using annotation. So this is part of screen sharing, which we could talk about later. It's kind of fun. All right, let me stop that.
And Christine, you get to all this from the little
This
arrow
one-
right at stop video or start video?
Yeah, right there you can get to there. So you could say like choose video filter or something. It opens that settings box.
Got it. Okay.
And you'll see all that general video, audio, down. I'm just going to cover a couple because there's so many options in Zoom. What I do is I'm just like a Zoom nerd. Oops, I didn't clear my annotation. Joshua, how do I get that annotation out of there? I have to erase it. I look like an amateur. Okay, let me erase that. Okay, there we go. Joshua gives me a thumbs up.
Where was the eraser?
Excuse me. The annotation is an interesting thing. I'm still learning to use it. It's only available, I believe, if you're a host or a co-host of the meeting. So if you don't see it, like I see mute, stop video, participants, share, pause, annotate, and remote control in my bar, but I have a feeling that's only because I'm a host.
Mhm.
If you're a host, so the other thing you can do, and I do this a lot, it's kind of, I'm sure it's annoying to everybody. If you have your own Zoom, you just open it and start a meeting with yourself as the only person in there and share the screen and practice using the annotation and things like that. The annotation also lets you can type, it comes in handy. I don't use it that much because I get too nervous, there's too much stuff going on. But you can type in like, I need to remember this, right? And, or if you're having a meeting, you can do this spotlight. I don't know if it'll work while I'm still doing that. Where is it? You can do this arrow. Like I could say, look at right here, this local recording, or you're going to want to click on video. You see the little arrow? So they give you these kind of options for while you're inside the meeting. In terms of recording, very simple. I always choose optimize for third-party video editor because I record a lot of my webinars and I don't edit them, but somebody else does a lot of times. So you can do all these options. You can record a separate audio file. The timestamp is not what you think it is. It's not like an official timestamp. It just means what day and what time. And record video during screen sharing. I like to do that. So we can talk more, like recording is a whole nother thing. Keyboard shortcuts, it's kind of fun. This is how you can impress your friends in your Zoom room. You can actually set what keyboard shortcuts you want. A lot of people say, you press the space bar for mute. Oh, I pressed too much space bar. Let me get back to the share in a second. Anyway, you could press the space bar for mute, and that's quite useful. Okay, now I have to get back to my PowerPoint. So let me see where I was at. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I have a couple questions whenever. It's
Okay. Yeah, this is good. I'm restarting my share.
okay. One is super easy and the others may be a little less.
Okay.
So if you're hosting and you want to mute all the participants, where is the control for that?
Oh, okay. When you're hosting, yes, that should be, okay. If you see at the bottom, I'm not always sure what you're seeing because I'm a co-host and it is a different menu, but at the bottom, it should say when you're co-hosting, mute, stop video, participants, right? So when you come in, there will be a setting. If you're the host, it says mute all participants when entering. And I believe that's in the cloud, which I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
I think you have to click on participants though, Christine, don't you?
Yeah, you have to click on participants at the bottom.
And then it
And-
shows all the participants and it shows
Mhm.
you as host and it says mute all.
Right, right, exactly, at the bottom.
That I did
Oh.
know how to do.
Okay. I don't see the mute all, but I do see the list.
You only get it if you're a host.
Oh, got it. Okay. Right.
It'll be at the bottom, so
Okay.
boom, and then, so I'm not gonna mute all of you. Joshua was teasing me, he's like, you're gonna have complete control over the Zoom room. When you are in control, you'll have mute all, you'll also have other, I like to use waiting room when I'm doing a meeting because it depends. Sometimes when I'm doing a meeting and I think I might be a few minutes late or like a minute late, I don't like to keep people waiting. They like to log in ahead. So I will enable a participant to log in before I start the room. But other times, like a meeting like this, I prefer to use, have people wait in the waiting room and admit them as they come in. All right, let me get back to my share real quick. Yeah, did you have a question?
Oh,
Go ahead.
just one more question. So, so I'm a hypnotherapist. So
Okay.
one thing I'm doing with clients sometimes is wanting to have a track of music that they can listen to
Mhm.
while I'm working with them. And so up to now, I've been asking them to just pull up the music on their phone. And I'm wondering if there's a way for me to be playing music while I'm talking. If I play it from my, it seems like if I play it from my room, like my laptop or another device, then we get like static and cutting out.
Right. I have a special hint for you. So save
Okay.
that question until the till
Okay.
the end, because I just read about this the other day.
Okay, thank you.
So does everyone see my screen? It says share screen Zoom, right? Do you see a black box in the corner? Like blocking some of the screen? I'm not sure if that happens or not. Sometimes this will happen. I'm going to move this out of the way. Sometimes the chat box or your Zoom controls will actually make a black empty space on your share screen that other people will see, but you can't see. So it's always good when you're starting a meeting just to check in and say, hey, everybody see this okay? I'm finding that being really casual on Zoom is the best method. Just being like, oops, I messed up on my share. I'm going to start that again. Like, it just seems to be the best way because we're all in the same boat pretty much. All right, so share screen Zoom. Oh, I wanted to try to do this, but oh, it'll be too hard. I'll just do it at the end. There's a way you can actually share yourself in the like on top of your PowerPoint, which I think is really fun. So like I said, I just like to have fun with these things. Share screen. I like to do all of these things. Has everyone done share screen before? Pretty much.
I haven't, just because I haven't had the need to, but
It's nerve wracking, I have to tell you. Okay, so if everyone, because everyone have the capability to share, Joshua, did we let everyone share if they want?
I can definitely do that. for
Yeah, so
teaching purposes.
so just click the share screen, but don't click anything else because it'll say that I have to cancel my thing to open your thing. But if everyone wants to go ahead and click share screen and tell me if you see a window pop up.
no.
You cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
Okay, let me stop my share. Okay, so just hit the green share screen,
All right.
not the little arrow next to share screen, but the actual green share screen. And
Mhm.
you should see a window that says select a window or an application
Yeah.
that you want to share.
Right.
So, and it gives you like a lot of different things, and you're like, oh geez, I don't know what to share. Oh, so screen one is the screen that is looking at, right, you're looking at right now. If you have any applications open, it will share those. When you do that, if like, let's say you're sharing an internet window, everyone will be able to see everything that you have open in your internet tabs. So you have to be careful. You should have the option of whiteboard, iPhone, iPad. And at the very bottom, Mari, is it Mari?
Mary.
Mary, this is what you're going to look for, where it says share sound and optimize for video clip at the bottom of that share screen.
Mhm.
If you don't click share sound and optimize for video clip and you're showing something that has sound, like you're playing something, it doesn't come out right. So you have to click share sound or optimize for video clip. So
Thank
while we're
you.
in,
Click
yeah,
both.
while we're in the screen, if you hit advanced, you get a whole bunch of other fun stuff. So I'm going to show you this one. So here's another one for you, Mary. Music or computer sound only is an option on sharing. There's a portion of a screen where you can just pick out like a square that you want to show. And the PowerPoint as virtual background is really fun. So I'm just going to share. If I start sharing, it'll cut off your shares, but I'm going to show you this little thing that I think is so much fun. It's a beta. I have to pick a new Zoom. And I just like to play with this. So you can see me at the bottom.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
That's
And I
cool.
can kind of like, dun, dun, like, you know, move. I could point
that's
at
cool.
things.
That's great.
And the cool thing about that is you have PowerPoint control inside your Zoom. So now I can change the slides
Oh, cool.
according to, and I can like point things out, and you can also move yourself on the screen.
And
you
what
can
is this
change.
called?
This is, it's a beta. So let me stop the share so you can find it. If you go to share screen
Uh-huh.
and you'll see basic at the top and then
Yes,
advanced.
advanced, okay.
Under advanced, you'll see PowerPoint as virtual background is a new feature.
Yeah,
And you
Oh,
can
I
put,
see.
you have to have a PowerPoint somewhere that you want to open, but
yeah,
it puts
okay.
you on top of it. I don't know why I think that's so much fun, but I think it's
Yeah,
fun.
So Christine, can you set this up before your class starts?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then your
Mhm.
class starts, and then when you share your screen and I start to do my PowerPoint,
Mhm.
it will optimize the sound and it'll use these features.
You know, you would think it would do that. But I always like double check like the second before the webinar starts because it unclicks things and
But you don't have to
that's,
do
yeah.
it while everybody's watching you. You can do it.
No, yeah, I always like to log in. When we have our guests on our webinar, we log in a half hour in advance. And some people are like, why did you have so long? Well, then we find out they never shared their screen before or something like
Mhm.
that, you know? I see
Right.
Joshua like, yeah. I love this. Joshua, I'm sure you get this. They're like, oh yeah, I've done so much Zoom. I totally know what I'm doing. I don't need any help. And then you get them and you're like, okay, share your screen. And they're like, oh, I can't get it to work. So I wanted to show this real quick. So I'm in my share thing. I can do content from a second camera. And the reason I want to show you this is I'm in my HD camera right now. And then you can see this is my laptop camera.
Mm,
So you can see the difference in the
big
quality.
difference.
So the laptop camera is it's not getting good light. So I can wave it to you from this camera. And so, but you can see the better quality of the HD camera.
So when
I'll, yes.
excuse me, when you look at yourself on that second camera,
Mm-hmm.
does it look as grainy as it did for us?
Yeah, it looks very grainy.
So, yeah. The other question I have is, I don't know about anybody else, but we will have, if you've got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, in our case, people Zooming at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The internet will drop out. And I've been on lots of Zoom calls where people are freezing. What do you think about logging in kind of audio with your phone
Mm-hmm.
as
I mean, that could help. I think if when we're having something and we're recording it, we'll ask everyone to turn off their web browser because the web browser seems to interrupt. Like if you have Google Chrome and you're running Google Chrome at the same time you're running a webinar, you can get a lot of interference. I have to have usually Google Chrome open because I'm cross-referencing and posting things in chat the entire time I'm running a webinar. So somehow we've gotten through that, but any of our guests will say and the other thing is to be near your router. If you have a bad signal, is to be as close as possible to your actual web machine, your internet, whatever connection that you have. I think I'm almost done with these slides, but let me just run through these so we can do some more chat. Did that, shortcuts. Okay, so can everyone see this screen? It says filters on Zoom. Am I sharing? No. Here, let me share my screen. Okay, now do you see my screen filters on Zoom? So I do crazy stuff like this. I will just change every single filter on my Zoom and take a picture and name it according to what filter it is. So I can tell, what I might need for, like here, I have no filter, light behind the monitor, no filtering, light on desk. Oh, I do have a fun hint for lighting that I'll show you in a second. So I do a lot of practice sessions. So very quickly, the Zoom cloud is really important. So this is where you go to zoom.us, which is different than the little thing you click on your desktop. So you actually have to open your browser. You go to zoom.us. There's different options, like if you're recording, recording to the cloud gives you different options than recording to your computer. And I think that's very important depending on what you're using. Like Mary, if you were using your sessions to actually show, to do any editing and then maybe show later, you'd probably want to record on the cloud, and I'll show you why.
Christine, I
when
have
you're-
a question.
Yeah.
Are most of the features you're showing us or demonstrating,
Mhm.
they're with a paid account? Or are they
Yeah,
with
I
the
do
free
pay,
account?
but it's not that much money. So it's $14 a month or $150 a year.
Yeah, that isn't, yeah.
I finally just went for it because I said, this is the way that you have to do business
Right.
for at
okay.
least probably the next year. And I said, it's just, I'd rather have more control over the recording and the situation
Yeah.
for that amount. I mean, I pay almost that for Netflix, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like, this gives you a lot more capability in terms of what you can do with your
Yeah.
Zoom, and really just because that's the only way I can communicate with everybody. But it's so much fun because I'm talking with people all over the world at this point. It's just like,
Yeah, it does seem like a great value. I haven't had
Mhm.
the need to do it because
Mhm.
yet most of my work is just volunteer work now because
Mhm.
I'm retired. So but you know, it does seem like it's worth it.
Well, you get a lot of credit, Sam, if you say, "Oh, just use my Zoom account," and everyone thinks they're like, "Oh, yeah, we'll use hers." So I think for you, Mary, this is especially important. Under cloud recording, this is not an option if you're recording to your computer. You can see right in the middle, it says record active speaker, gallery view, and shared screen separately. And I have all three of those clicked. The best thing about that is it provides 3 recordings when you're done, and it posts those into your Zoom file. So y'all have a record and audio only file. So I'll have a recording that's only audio. I'll have a second video recording that is active speaker, which means the yellow square goes around and whoever's talking. And then gallery view is all of us put together. So if I was recording this, I would have 3 files at the end. And that makes it so much more useful in terms of if you're going to, show it later, or you want different options for editing and post, which also you'll see at the bottom, it says optimize the recording for third-party video editor. So if you're using like Adobe Premiere or something to edit your videos, you definitely want to click all of these things.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it just makes it so much easier. I don't click display participants' names in the recording because I want to pretend that my Zoom recording is more like a network style thing without the names. I don't use always lower third, which is the titles that come across the bottom. I don't have time to do that kind of editing. I don't want everyone's names on there. It just makes it look zoomy, So when I'm doing a
Zoomy.
recording, yeah, it makes it look zoomy. So I'm trying to make a recording that doesn't show that. Pretty much the last things I want to talk about is just like, what's the difference between a meeting and a webinar? So usually I'll host webinars. We had one webinar where we had almost 500 people sign up for it. And I think there were 350 people live on the actual webinar. I don't need that many people in a meeting. It's a lot of trouble. You see everyone's faces. A lot of people will leave the camera on and then start walking around. It's too much management. Webinars are definitely more expensive. So that's only with my account that I have at work. So a webinar can be up to 10,000 attendees. I think it's like $500 a year. So it's beyond the level I need at the moment. But if you were doing like a lot of professional recordings and a lot of people maybe you don't know personally logging in, the webinar is the way to go because they don't have any camera control at all. You don't see their face. You've heard about Zoom bombing, where people like Zoom in and then mess up your meeting. It's a thing. You can't do that in a webinar. I just want to give one more hint about Zoom cloud recording. If I record a long meeting, let's say a 3-hour meeting, I record it, it exceeds my Zoom storage capacity. And I'll immediately get a note from Zoom saying you've exceeded your storage capacity. What you can do, of course, you can download it. I immediately download it. You can put stuff in the trash, which you see I've trashed 7 items. I put stuff in the trash where it stores your trash for 30 days. So Zoom will say, you've exceeded your recording. I'm like, okay, I download it, I stick it in the trash. I don't have to upgrade my Zoom that way. And if I need it, it's still in the trash for 30 days. If for some reason I find out that my recording didn't work out so good, then you can pull it out of the trash and then download it again if you need to. That way you don't have to upgrade. Because I think the next upgrade is, again, it goes from like about 150 to suddenly you're into the $500 range. So yeah, so we could just have questions. That's all I really wanted to show you. And again, it's all in the chat if you wanted to download that whole presentation so you can check the boxes.
This is amazing.
It's fun, right? There's a lot of stuff in there that you can use.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any more questions?
This totally has to be on lifelong learning.
Well,
I
there's so much to learn. So Mary, you want to do recording. There's a new thing on Zoom. I just found out the other day, and I just go into Google and say how to do this on Zoom.
Yeah.
And there's like a YouTube video, and then I watch these guys or women do it, and then I practice. There are other new sound capabilities where it had a thing where it's like you play the sound in your room, and then you put it as a low. Where I showed you where you could had dog barking, like the auto suppress noise, you take off the automatic, you put it on low, and you should be able to hear the music low in the background, something like that. So I would definitely just go into Google and say, how can I play music in the background of my Zoom meeting or during the waiting room?
Okay.
The other thing I recently heard, because in a couple of the Zoom calls that I was in, and they would put you into the different rooms, right? And it's done randomly. Apparently now you can in advance assign people meeting rooms.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff. There's like different meeting rooms you can put people in, and you can communicate to them with chat, which is great. There's ways to pin people on your video if you're in charge. I'm sure Joshua knows about this, where I could say, like, if Missy, if you were giving, thank you, Joshua, as a spotlight. So that way, if I'm talking and I'm the host, even if somebody else talks, the video is still recording me as a single speaker. So that's usually, and then I'm going to release the video order. So that takes it back to the regular speaker. So me and Joshua, we could have some fun right here we could spar over who's in control of this Zoom.
When something,
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Sammy.
when someone puts something in the chat room
Mm-hmm.
for you, how long do you have to download or do something with it during the meeting? Or what happens? Can you access it after the meeting?
You can if you're the host. There's a connection that says one of the options that participants can download the chat. I usually don't do that just because you don't know what's in there. You can actually direct message somebody like Sammy. I can direct to you. I can say hi. But you have to be, so when we're running our webinars, I'm direct messaging my co-host the entire time, but you have to be really careful. So if you have to say I need to go to the bathroom, I'll be back in a minute. You want to make sure you're not sending that to everybody in the meeting.
Well, I guess Joshua put something in there and I need to download it while the meeting is going on in order to have it.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. I click download right now.
Mhm.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Then
That's
I
a
have
new
a choice of
feature
where to
with
put it.
Zoom.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as I know, I don't know what you know about Joshua, but as far as I know, it's a new feature in Zoom where you'll see it says to everyone in the chat room, and then it says file. And you can click on file and you can actually click on something that people can download. That's kind of a new feature. I just prefer to, take it off my computer. I tried to use it on Google Drive and Zoom wanted access to my whole Google Drive. I was like, no.
Well, this seems like the best thing for me to do is to save it on my desktop now, and then I can decide later where to put it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
Joshua and I seem to be on the same page. So I tried to do a save file through an open document on Google Drive, and Zoom is like, Zoom can now access all files on your Google. And I says, nay, are you doing that? So, but that's a new feature. if the way you can tell if an easy way to tell if your Zoom is updated, at the bottom again, you'll see share screen, and then you'll see reactions. So does everyone see a reaction bar?
Yeah.
Or a thing where I could raise my hand. I could say, hey, this has been so much fun. I could celebrate. If you see yes, no, slower, and faster, then you have the current version of Zoom.
Mm.
So
And
if you don't see
those,
have yes,
no.
if you don't see those, then you go back to that window of your settings under video settings and under general. I think it is. There'll be a place that says check Zoom under your name somewhere. I would just type in like, how do I update my Zoom? And then you'll need to update your Zoom because they have new ones that are like no, so you could vote if you're in a board meeting.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe Joshua wants to tell me to go faster because we're almost to the end of this hour. I don't know why you would use faster and slower. I was like, so you
I
could.
had a quick question, Christine. I think it's pretty simple. My name normally comes up Victoria Saunders.
Mhm.
I have to go in my participants list and go to more and rename myself just because I go by Vicky.
Mhm.
And it says like default, but it always defaults back to Victoria somehow. Is there a way, maybe in my profile, a way to change that?
Yeah, I think so in the profile. And the
Okay.
easier way is if you look at your image, it says at the top of your image, probably mute and then 3 little dots right there.
Yeah.
You should probably, you could rename from there. Maybe easier than clicking on participants.
Oh, the word rename is there. You're right.
Yeah, so you can change your name.
Gotcha. Okay, good.
So
Thanks.
I end up doing that a lot because people come in like they're on some other Zoom and I'm like, is that really your name? They're like, no. So, or I try to keep the names consistent especially if I'm recording or I have an audience. I want all the names to be basically all, upper and lowercase, first, last name. Not like, jk58@yahoo.com or something. So I like all the names to be pretty consistent. I think that's about it. Yeah, we had breakout rooms. There's just a lot. They're always introducing new things. I mean, Joshua, do you have anything you want to add? That's
Not
good.
much, except for the rename thing is fun for if you're leading a Zoom. It's fun to get icebreakers. So I work at UVA, and so we do a lot of events with incoming first years, as Misty and the crew know. And one of the fun things we did this past summer was, in order to split the groups up into breakout rooms, we said, ketchup or mustard or,
Oh, that's cute.
chocolate and then they renamed themselves. And it was just like a fun little activity. So rename can come in handy for a lot of different things.
Well, I hope
That's
you'll
fun.
meet my grandson next year. Of course, he has to be admitted first.
Well, we'll see. We'll definitely see.
That's
Well,
fun. I mean,
definitely
so
see one of
yeah.
my face. If you'll see my face, that's something if he is admitted.
So Christine, so if, let's say I wanted to have an online webinar, you or someone like you could run that webinar from wherever you are. Did I understand that correctly? That's how
Sure. I mean, that's what we do. If you want a webinar, if you're a professional, it's part of your business, then you'll probably want to upgrade to webinar status unless you hire somebody. Oh, Vicky, sorry you have to go.
Yeah,
I'm
I do too.
join
Thank
us.
you.
Thanks so much, Vicky.
Yeah, and Mary, you can call me. Like we could talk tomorrow. I could give you a little more like customized because I think because you're doing this as part of your business, right?
Right. I mean, it's not something that I'm planning right now, but maybe down the road. I think what's held me back from actually planning something like this is the technical side of it and not wanting to have to deal with it. And my assistant's not that techie. So if there's someone that could say, oh, I'll handle that and set up all the settings the way you want it, and you just deliver the content, that would be a lot less stress.
Oh, it's stressful. I still stress. You know, it makes me feel alive when I have to run a webinar with like 200 people and we're live and it's like, boom, you're on. So it's stressful, but I think it's, you know, I could easily teach you and then you're in charge of your own destiny, right? But then you can figure it out and you'll know, you just get more familiar with it. It's just like you just kind of jump in and do the thing. But I think it's not that hard once you kind of get the hang of it. You know, it's just like, I don't, you know, like remember when Word first came out and nobody knew how to use Word and we were all using DOS and we had to learn how to use Word. Eventually we all got it. So, but I could put my email again and you could just write to me with specific,
Thank you.
I just put in the chat, you could just write to me with specific questions.
Okay,
Or we
wonderful.
could jump on a Zoom and you could just like, and we could just go through a couple things, more detail.
Thank you so much. This was
Okay,
great.
I want to thank you, and it was nice meeting you all. I'm going to sign off too.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Sammy.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yoo-hoo.
And then Missy has to go too.
Yes. Yeah, I got
Thank you
good
all for coming.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. This is fun. And definitely just write to me if you need any more help.
Yeah. Well, this was very helpful. Thank you. Bye-bye.
luck.
Bye.
Bye,
Okay.
everyone.